Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Thursday. Thank you for joining me. I'm pointed this direction because we have a guest in studio. Not a guest, we have a contributor in studio. You guys know my partner in crime, TJ Moe. Round of applause for TJ Moe for being in studio with me as we await word on the Trump verdict. But before we hear anything about Trump or I actually get to a discussion about Trump, I'm going to spend some time, and TJ will go back and forth with me a little bit about Stephen A. Smith and interesting things I'm seeing from there. You guys can also go to extra Fearless content on Blaze TV. Go to blazetv.com/fearless, use the promo code Fearless, and you can save $20 on your yearly subscription. Today's very fluid episode of Fearless is brought to you by our great friends at Good Ranchers. Use my promo code Fearless at goodranchers.com, and with your subscription, you can claim free bacon for life and support veterans this Father's Day. All right, so I've given you all the context of what I'm doing here and why today's show will be a little bit different. So let me get right into the conversation I want to have about Stephen A. Smith. There are some very, very interesting things going on with Stephen A. Smith. He is under an enormous amount of attack. I have set off an avalanche that, in my view, clearly has Stephen A. Smith disjointed, and we're seeing him rework his story and narrative in real time. And I want to connect these dots for you and explain to you, again, he's a plant. Other plants are working with him. I'm going to bring Kenny Smith into this. I want to state again, just for the record, and I know some of you get tired of me saying this, but I just want to be clear. I like Kenny Smith. I've said it yesterday or the day before. I can't remember. I like Shaq. I like Charles Barkley. I like Ernie Johnson. I like many. Hell, at this point, I halfway like Shannon Sharp. And so I don't want anybody to think any of this is personal. I'm just trying to connect the dots for you guys so you can see how the media actually works. And I want to tie in together some different things that Stephen A. Smith has said. And I think I want to start with SOT number 5. That Stephen A. yesterday did an apology to Kyrie Irving. And I talked about this yesterday, like, oh, Kyrie Irving's one game from making another NBA Finals. Everybody's recasting the narrative about Kyrie Irving. But Stephen A. is recasting the narrative about himself. Listen to this apology that he offered up to Kyrie Irving yesterday, and I'm going to tell you what's interesting about it.
Let me move on to this last subject before I go to break, because it involves Kenny Smith and Kyrie Irving. Kenny the Jet Smith for TNT, the great Kyrie Irving for the Dallas Mavericks, who may be on the verge of winning his second NBA championship, by the way, which is an incredible story within itself. But anyway, the topic that I'm about to get into is a bit personal. It involves Kenny, my brother, my boy. Kenny Smith and I go back decades. His brother, Vincent Smith, used to train me. Lost Battalion Hall, Queens, New York, all of that stuff. I got a scholarship, a basketball scholarship, because of Vincent Smith. Love him to death. But Kenny Smith and I go back that long. Last night, the TNT crew was discussing the evolution of Kyrie Irving this postseason. Because Kyrie Irving obviously has gone through so much, being accused of anti-Semitism or anti-Semitic remarks just because he retweeted something and stuff like that, getting suspended, having to deal with some of the things he's had to deal with, the whole COVID thing and, not wanting to play, not wanting to take the vaccine and all of this other stuff, ultimately missing an abundance of games. And, obviously things going south in Brooklyn with him, Kevin Durant and James Harden. You look at those situations and you just found yourself saying, damn, this is a bad situation. It's really bad. And Kyrie's name was all over it. And then he lost the sneaker deal and all he had was basketball. But the evolution of Kyrie Irving this postseason has been nothing short of spectacular, and he deserves a lot of credit for it. But that was also what led to Kenny Smith revealing a very private conversation that he had with me about my past critical comments of Kyrie. And I shouldn't say past because at the time we had the conversation, that's when it was going on, and that's when Kenny Smith called me.
So something very interesting was said at the very beginning of Stephen A. Smith's comments. There was a new narrative introduced about Stephen A. Smith's background. Totally, first time I've heard it, and you guys know how much time I've spent researching Stephen A. Smith, reading his memoir, tracking and monitoring what he has said and contradicted. I got a 6-inch screw in my knee. I can barely walk. I average 1.5 games because I only play one game. I've been tracking all of it. But I had never heard Stephen A. Smith assert that Kenny Smith's brother is responsible or played a role in him getting a full ride basketball scholarship. And so I said, wow, that's interesting, that's new. So just put a pin in that comment, and then I want to provide you some further context. I want to play SOT number 7. This is Kenny Smith that Stephen A. was referencing. Here Kenny Smith is 2 nights ago on Inside the NBA, and I found these comments, and we've discussed this earlier in the week, but I found these comments very interesting from Kenny Smith, and I was like, how did he get Stephen A. into this conversation about Kyrie Irving on Inside the NBA when Shaq and Charles Barkley had said a lot of negative things about Kyrie Irving? There's no reason to drag Stephen A. Smith into a TNT conversation when Kenny's sitting on set with 2 guys who viciously attacked Kyrie Irving. But let's play the clip just to refresh your memory.
Well, I'm just excited, as you started off, that we're talking about him. And there's been like a constant change in the thought process about him by the mass media. As a basketball player, you know, we're not talking about his political or social stances and looking at him in a negative view. And I'll say it. I wasn't going to say it, but, you know, I've never said it to Kyrie, but I've said it to Stephen A. Because at one time, Stephen A. was an advocate about having a battle with this guy. And I had to call Stephen. I'm like, this guy's from our neighborhood. I named like 6 people. And I said, Stephen, those people mentored you. They mentored him. So when you say something about him, you're actually saying it about us. And so he understood, and they kind of fell back. And because as a media person, we have to understand that young men go through young things. They grow up, they learn things, and they appreciate things, and they have a different viewpoint than we might have had. But as a basketball player, you gotta double this guy. And if you don't double this guy, you go home in 4. And that's the difference between this Kyrie, and I love to see.
Who's in the building, Kenny?
Superman is in the building when he has the ball over there.
So, TJ, I'm going to ask you just a quick question. Just, and I know you know where I'm going with this, but why did Kenny Smith bring Stephen A. Smith into that conversation? Does that not sound odd that he's talking about Kyrie Irving on TNT, and his overall point, it wasn't necessary to bring Stephen A. Smith into that? Am I right or wrong there?
Well, you're right that it wasn't necessary, but if you look back and think who were Kyrie's biggest critics, Stephen A. is probably at the top of the list of the most notable. Stephen A. stood up on television and said, Kyrie, you need to retire. So that's hard to,
Gotcha. But I would have unpacked it differently if that was my point. I'm just telling you, the way he brought Stephen A. Smith into this seems orchestrated to me. But I hear you, and I respect that. But if I sat on a show where Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal had both attacked him over the vaccine and over the Hebrews to Negroes, I don't need to run off to Stephen A. Smith. Everybody knows which show has the clout in the NBA, and it's Inside the NBA, and it's Shaq, and it's Charles Barkley. Stephen A. is just a loudmouth that, again, they don't talk much about on Inside the NBA. I found that interesting. And then when Stephen A. followed in immediately the next day, and then starts, me and Kenny, we go way back, and his brother is, trained me in basketball, and he's why I got a basketball scholarship. I'm like, well, I've never heard that. And I've read this man's memoir. And so I went and refreshed my memory about his memoir. And I want to read to you the 2 times Kenny Smith was referenced in Stephen A. Smith's memoir. And so the man, we just heard the man say that his brother played a central role in Stephen A. Smith getting a basketball scholarship. So you got Kenny Smith, 2-time NBA champion, has spent the last 15 to 20 years on Inside the NBA, the most prominent talk show about the NBA. And you write a memoir where this man's brother played a prominent role in you getting a basketball scholarship. And so here's how he mentions Stephen A. in his memoir, Straight Shooter. Along the way, there's an inordinate number of friendships I've been blessed to have with colleagues at ESPN, as well as people who don't work at ESPN. Snoop Dogg, Jamie Foxx, Charlie Mack, Michael Ealy, Charles Barkley, Shaq, Kenny Smith. There's 2 references. That's one of the references to Kenny Smith in his book. Here's the second one. I just didn't have the money or the talent for those travel and AAU programs like the Gauchos or Riverside. They were reserved for the young phenoms I knew about, from Rod Strickland, Dwayne Pearl Washington, Mark Jackson, Kenny Smith, then on to Kenny Anderson and Lloyd Sweet Pea Daniels. 2-time NBA champion, one of the 4 co-hosts on the most popular NBA show. You grew up with him. His brother is responsible, according to you, for you getting a basketball scholarship, and that's it. If I ever write a memoir, Jeff George is going to be mentioned. He's going to be mentioned, and it won't be in passing. Because, again, the attention Jeff George brought to my high school team is part of the reason why I got a football scholarship. And playing alongside one of the great, number 1 overall draft pick, great, some people consider the greatest high school quarterback ever. It's just worth mentioning. It's more than just a passing. And so now here we are decades later, and it's like we go back decades. We grew up, he's like a brother to me. We Queens, we were thick as thieves. But in your book, he was just a name that got referenced. There is none of this history. And so I'm like, why is this happening? Why now? Why are we now dragging Kenny Smith and his brother as co-signers for your basketball scholarship? Because you know who the original co-signers were? Winston-Salem State basketball teammates. And the most prominent one was Gary Spank Stevens. And so Gary Spank Stevens, if you've watched this show, he's the guy that on this show, he's run around for years. He's on camera. Me and Stephen A. Smith, we're old teammates at Winston-Salem State. They're pictured together all over social media. Everything's Winston-Salem State, Winston-Salem State. And on this show, we told you like, hey man, we did some homework on Gary Stevens. He went to some college in New York called Old Westbury, and he played basketball there. And the guy that allegedly played at Winston-Salem State was a 6'3" guard. Gary Stevens, as you see there, Stephen A. Smith towering over him. Stephen A. is 6'1". Gary Stevens seems to be 5'9", 5'10" at best. He's not the 6'3" guy that played at Winston-Salem State. And once we brought that out on this show, Gary Stevens and Stephen A. Smith haven't been posting on social media, hey, we flew here together, we're former Winston-Salem State teammates. It all dried up. It all stopped. And just a few days ago, Gary Stevens confirmed everything that I've been saying, that we've been saying on this show. He posted on Instagram a statue at Old Westbury and him saying on his Instagram, and it says, the ups and downs of life. What a day, though. Today, I visited SUNY Old Westbury, which is the school I met my late wife, Malinka Clinkscale Stevens. I return to present two $1,000 grants from the Malika C. Stevens Foundation to two students that are graduating on Wednesday. These two students, Yvette Thomas and Marquand Angula, are graduating with their degree in accounting, which is the same degree Malika received back in 1995. These two students will always be special because they are the first recipients of the graduation grants from the foundation. The bittersweet moment of the day. Today marks 24 years that my dear friend Malik Sealy lost his life in a senseless car accident. I started the day by remembering a bad memory of my life, but ending the day by creating a new memory of blessing others. Overall, it's a great day because I got to do something really cool and to be able to remember two important people in my life that are no longer with me in the physical, Malika and Malik. So today is a good day. So, did we not show? Yeah, there we go. That's the picture actually that he posted on his IG, and so I knew we were right, and we had done the homework, and we had discovered who this man actually is. The 5'9" midget that's run around saying that I played at Winston-Salem State. That's Malik Sealy, by the way. But who played at Winston-Salem State, that's not accurate. Again, we looked, there's no proof that this Gary Stevens ever registered at Winston-Salem State University. And his education and basketball resume traced to Old Westbury. That's why Stephen A., in my view, or what my spidey senses tell me is like, oh, I can't use Gary Stevens and this all these other people that I've been using to sell this myth that Big House Gaines gave me a scholarship on the spot. I'm now going to bring Kenny Smith into this. And now Kenny Smith's brother, Vincent, who is not mentioned in Stephen A.'s book, now he's credited with training up Stephen A. Smith and being responsible for Stephen A. Smith getting a basketball scholarship to Winston-Salem State. That's not the story Stephen A. Smith told in his book. He talked about a guy, either Howard or Harold Kitt, taking him out on the playground in February in New York City and then driving him down to Winston-Salem State on a Sunday to try out in front of Big House Gaines in the middle of their basketball season. That's the story he told in his book. Now it's Kenny Smith's brother. Nowhere mentioned in the book. They're bringing Kenny Smith in here now as the co-signer. And I'm going to go a cut deeper. Why is this going on? Because everybody at ESPN watched and is aware of all the information that I've exposed on Stephen A. Smith. And people at ESPN have brains just like you do and everybody else does. And no matter what they may tweet out, no matter what they may say on camera, they're sitting there like, man, this Stephen A. Smith, how many lies does he get to tell and still get to call himself a journalist? How many lies does he get to tell and still be the face of ESPN? How many lies does he get to tell and still command $20 million? This is crazy. And they're complaining behind the scenes. How do I know this? Because Stephen A. Smith has said it for himself. Making sure you have the fruits and vegetables in your diet is important for maintaining a healthy diet and a healthy lifestyle. The average person doesn't even eat half of the recommended servings in a day. That's a huge gap in nutrition. Inflation has made this even worse because it costs more for fruits and vegetables. That's why I'm a big proponent of Balance of Nature. It's a great on-the-go solution. They haven't raised their prices for 10 years. Their proprietary blend of 31 fruits and vegetables comes in easy-to-swallow capsules and will give your body so much of the nourishment it needs. Imagine trying to eat 31 different kinds of produce in a single day. Just impossible to do. Balance of Nature, its fruits and vegetables, takes care of everything. When you go to balanceofnature.com, you'll get 35% off plus $10 off any additional sets with your first order as a preferred customer by using my discount code FEARLESS. That's limited to 5 sets, but you'll save a ton of money while getting the fruits and veggies you need in your diet. Go to balanceofnature.com and use the promo code FEARLESS for 35% off. That's balanceofnature.com. I use it. My mom uses it. My family uses it. My friends use it. We use it here at the office. Balance of Nature. Hook yourself up like I hook myself up. You can look as good as me or better. I believe, is this, there was the clip. Jack, shout out to me there. I want to make sure I get the right clip. There's 3 things I asked to be spliced together. I'm hoping it's SOT number 6. That says Stephen A. on Kenny Smith. Stephen A. on Draymond. It's SOT number 9. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate that. Luke, who's coming off a long vacation, has finally decided to contribute to the show after taking a vacation roll call week.
Totally redeemed himself.
That's just play SOT number 9. Thank you, Luke.
Because I got something important that I want to say. I'm sick of some of these dudes. And I'm not going to mention any names. But I've about had it up to here with people smiling in my face. And I'm not talking about Draymond here because he clearly did not smile in my face and talk behind my back. I hadn't seen him or heard from him. And I wasn't looking for him, so I didn't know anything that was going on. But I've been through a lot over the last month or so. You know, the whole thing with people misconstruing my comments about, Trump and the black community when I was only talking about black Trump supporters and what they say to him. I wasn't talking about black people. I got people from all over the place coming at me. I had friends that I've known for years, letting people come on their platform and talk about me and call me everything but a child of God for 3 hours. I got colleagues that smiled in my face and went behind my back to the bosses talking shit. There's not much that people are going to say about me or try to do towards me that I'm not going to find out about. And when I tell you the hypocritical bastards and sons of bitches that have tried to hurt me, I don't even know what to say. Now, I'm a Christian man and I'm a God-fearing individual. So I'm not going to sweat it too much. But what I want to say is it was disappointing that Draymond went the route of talking to Shaq and revealing to a public audience something I never knew. He was wrong in what he said because I did not go along with the narrative. I've been defending Draymond Green's character for years. If anything, he owes people like me an apology for doing so because of the continuous predicaments he found himself in where we'd have to defend him because of the ammunition he provided to others to come at him. But it wasn't me. Wasn't me. So maybe we'll talk again, maybe we won't. But either way, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Nor am I going to lose sleep over friends who've proven themselves to be otherwise. Nor am I going to lose sleep over professionals that don't want to talk to me. I got love for anybody who got love for me. For those who don't, it was nice knowing you. Let me be very clear about that. It's like that for me. It's like that.
Did you not just hear what Stephen A. Smith said? He's under attack. His colleagues inside ESPN are coming after him. He thought they were friends. We may have edited out some of his extra comments where he's talking about he can track down or information all comes to him. He knows everything that's said about him, whether it's today or tomorrow or a week from now. People are going to snitch you out and tell you. He knows everybody that's coming after him. He's Michael Corleone in The Godfather 2. He's going to settle all of his debts. He's on a revenge tour. His enemies are circling the wagons. What are they circling the wagons with? The information that I provided here. Because none of it makes sense. And so the Gary Stevens story, the 17 straight shots, the scholarship on the spot. He's getting destroyed in his text messages and DMs. Why now is Stephen A? How many different apologies is Stephen A going to issue over the last couple of weeks? Oh, I got to apologize to Draymond. Oh, I got to apologize to Kyrie. He's trying to make peace with everybody because he knows that everybody, from Kevin Durant to Kyrie Irving to everybody in the NBA, they're not saying it publicly because they all hope in the back of their minds, like, hey, man, I want to get a job at ESPN, and I don't want to get crossways with ESPN. But trust me, in DMs and text messages, Stephen A's DMs and text messages are filled up with 17 straight shots, bro. Really? Really? Who's this midget, Gary Stevens, that's running around saying he's your teammate? Really, bro? The guy assassinates the character of Kwame Brown for years. You think NBA players haven't taken notes? You think Draymond Green, he won't say it publicly because, again, he wants to keep the bridge open to ESPN and that money. These people can't be honest. Shaq and these guys are the only ones that took a small little tiny public shot at Stephen A. They cracked a joke about the 1.5 points in one game. But if we're in reality, like if we're in a real locker room environment, if Charles and Kenny and Shaq had the freedom that they used to have when they were players and they would be in a locker room environment, you catch someone this dirty, telling this big of lies, you call them out publicly and crack jokes about it. If y'all really boys, trust me, my boys, my best friends, if they caught me telling this big of a lie, they would be calling me out about it. It would be the biggest joke in our Twitter thread, in our text threads and everything. But these guys can't be real because they're all in on it. They've all taken the check. They've all decided to be actors. And so, Kenny Smith, and I just want to be clear and restate, and I'm sorry for doing this. I authentically apologize. But I just want people, there is no animus. I do not hate these people. Kenny Smith, nothing but nice to me in the few interactions we've had. Nothing but nice. I wrote in a piece once about some either NBA All-Star Weekend or Super Bowl party he threw that was kind of a dud and a flop, and he got mad at me. Like, hey, man, I invited you to my party. Why would you write and tell people the party, no one was at the party? And I was like, well, because I'm a journalist, Kenny, and no one was at the party, but I get why you're upset, and I apologize to him. So I didn't need to do it. It was a throwaway line. I didn't need to do it. But I like Kenny Smith. Certainly like Charles, like Shaq, but these are facts. They've taken a check and they've thrown honesty and transparency out the window. So I want to show you Kenny Smith, and we did this earlier in the week. I just want why I'm saying like everybody's in on this. This is Kenny Smith, and we played it earlier in the week, but this is acting. He's walking off the set of Inside the NBA because Jacob Blake, a serial criminal who sexually violated his baby mama and brought the police within shooting distance of his young children and grabbed a knife, Kenny Smith's walking off the set in unison with the NBA players who were triggered and doing something emotional and doing something for Twitter clout. Kenny Smith is walking off the stage as well. Play the clip.
Kenny. This is tough. I mean, right now my head is like ready to explode, like just in the thoughts of what's going on. And I don't know if I'm even appropriate enough to say it, what the players are feeling and how they're feeling. And I haven't talked to any of the players. But like coming in, even like driving here and getting into the studio, hearing calls and people talking. And for me, I think the biggest thing now is to kind of, as a black man, as a former player, I think it's best for me to support the players and just not be here tonight. And figure out what happens after that. I just don't feel equipped to do that.
And I respect that. Shaquille.
The fact that
That's acting. Is that not acting?
Of course it wasn't. Ernie made it worse. I like Ernie, but I respect that.
And so I want you all, and many of you already know, but I want you all to understand the ground that I'm standing on, why I don't buy what Kenny did. And I say this respectfully. I like Kenny. I get these checks these guys get, and they have to play a role. All of this stuff is just one big TV show. This is General Hospital. This is One Life to Live. This is All My Children. This is Young and the Restless. It's just a TV show. I get it. But this is not reality. And here's why I say that. And I've said it before, but for anybody new, I had a cousin that I helped raise. I want to be clear on that. Helped raise. Anton Butler, you can look it up in the Indianapolis Star. Go to their archives. He was killed in 2012 by sheriffs, tased and electrocuted to death in the rain. That's what we believe. That's what my family believes. I helped raise it. He died at 26. I helped raise him from the womb. Spent summers with me in Kansas City, with his brother and other cousins. Love this kid. Now, the police have a different story. Just to be fair, they said he swallowed cocaine and choked on it as they were tasing him in the rain. That's their story. But I paid for the funeral. I shed real tears. Kenny Smith walking off the set over Jacob Blake, someone he does not know, someone he would not invite to dinner, someone he wouldn't want dating his daughter, sister, mother, aunt, anybody else. That's acting. I know the actual pain of a relative, someone you care about, dying in an incident with the police. And you don't show up to work, get on camera, and then, hey, I don't feel like being here, I'm gonna leave. You know what you do? You call in sick. Hey, I can't come into work today. I'm too emotional. I'm gonna be in solidarity with the players. But when you've been given an acting script and they want a television moment, you show up, you put the makeup on, you sit on camera, and then I'm gonna go join the players. You unhook your microphone and you walk off set. That's the type of person that is like, oh my God, Stephen A. Smith has a narrative problem. NBA players are eating him up about this behind the scenes. His coworkers are eating him up behind the scenes about this. This man is a fraud. And people at ESPN and NBA players, they're all calling it out. The trustworthiness of Dr. Anthony Fauci has been up for debate for a long time. I think you and I know that despite the media's campaign to defend his character, there's a lot of suspicious stuff going on behind the scenes. We know that they lied about COVID. We know that statistics were inflated. And we know that Fauci is tied into it all. If scientists, doctors, journalists spoke out against Dr. Fauci, they were silenced immediately. But why? What is COVID mafia trying to hide? And how was the messaging so perfectly coordinated so quickly? Now that their lies have gotten some attention, they're doing everything they can to distract us and make us forget about COVID, lest we uncover the depths of their deception. You didn't forget how these policies and the pandemic changed our nation in your day-to-day lives. We haven't forgotten about it either. We're still dealing with the repercussions today. That's why we teamed up with Free the People to release The Cover-Up, a docuseries available now on Blaze TV. It exposes Fauci for what he is, a liar. Fauci is scheduled to testify on June 3rd with the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability, and you need to watch The Cover-Up so that you can see the lies he spread to the American people before he testifies. We want you to be armed with the truth before Dr. Fauci and the rest of them try to distort the facts. So go to FauciCoverup.com/Whitlock and use the promo code FauciLied to get $30 off an annual subscription to Blaze TV. And so, we got to help Stephen A. We got to transition this narrative. Now we have to incorporate Kenny Smith as a co-signer, a very public co-signer of Stephen A's background. His brother trained him up, and that's the reason Stephen A got a scholarship to Winston-Salem State. I just want you all to understand what it is you're watching. And again, this is all relatively new. This level of dishonesty and play acting that's going on TV is relatively new. This level. It's always been a psyop. But now it's getting so obvious, and that's why someone like Charles Barkley, he's pivoted. He has clearly pivoted, and he's got to stick to the script because they're getting so much money. And so no one can be honest. And that's everything I'm talking about, and I'm not a victim here, but this is why I'm disliked and hated. And when they sit around and talk about, no one in the media likes Jason Whitlock, he doesn't have any friends in the media. And I don't, because I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to lie to people. And when I see others lying, I'm going to call it out, whether I like them or not. Because it's a disservice to real people to have any of these guys, as I said the other day, from Barkley to Kenny to Stephen A to Shaq to Michael Wilbon to any of them on TV telling people, get the vaccine. They have no qualifications for this, but they did it. They annihilated Kyrie Irving and Aaron Rodgers' character and reputations because they refused to take the vax. Because Big Pharma requires them to go sell that lie about the vax. This is dangerous stuff. Would I prefer for everybody in the media to like me or to at least not hate me? Yes, I would. But I have a higher calling, I believe, and this, you can go check my records, I've been saying it for years. I would rather try to please the audience or newspaper readers, that's how I used to say it, rather than the athletes, coaches, and executives and people in the media. And so they're just circling the wagons, all the people that are in on it and all of them that are collecting $1 million checks, and behind the scenes, there's phone calls going on. Hey, man, we got to rally together. Draymond and Stephen A., y'all got to make peace. We're all multimillionaires. We're the elite. We got to stick together and protect each other. Screw the people. And so let's have peace. Stephen A.'s under attack. His story, he picked the wrong fight with Jason Whitlock. We told this guy Whitlock is out of his weight class, but he chose to get in this arena with me, and now he's in over his head, and so he's tagging other people into the ring. Kenny, hop on in here. Whitlock's killing me. And now he's got people at ESPN killing me behind my back. Stephen A., you owe me an apology. More than me, you owe the public an apology. Seriously, the man has taped apologies to Draymond Green, a multimillionaire, to Kyrie Irving, a multimillionaire. Has he offered up an apology to the American people that he stood on camera and said, man, y'all black people, y'all not getting the vaccine. This is appalling. Y'all should get the vaccine. Has he offered you all an apology? And I know many of you out there are groupies, and these celebrities, you just love them to death. And if they tell you things that kill you, you love them anyway. But trust me, they're not acting in your best interest. They're lying to you for money. And I know you've been trained to hate me. I'm telling you the truth, not for money, but for your edification and benefit. Because I can lie as good as anybody. And could be collecting one of those, eight-figure checks for telling those lies. But I don't want to do it. I'm nothing special. I'm not better than anybody else. I got my flaws. But I'm just sorry. There's a line in the sand. I'm not going to mislead people for my benefit and for their destruction. This whole Stephen A. Smith thing, it's so clear cut. This is a game they're playing on the public. They're playing on you. And now they're roping other people into it. And the people at ESPN behind the scenes, some of y'all need to man or woman up and just come out of the closet like, this is a joke. This man has told so many lies that if anybody else had been caught telling this many lies and recreating this false history about themselves with no explanation, easy questions that could have been answered if he were telling the truth, and he hasn't offered up any explanation. All he did was come on air and name call me, and now he's got Kenny Smith and other people caping up for him trying to sell these lies. It's a joke and ridiculous. Did I leave off anything I wanted to share before I moved on? Let me make sure I'm double checking here. I thought there were. I do want to play SOT number 8, just briefly, because this whole Stephen A's got so many brothers now in the media. Everybody's his brother. Play the clip.
He's got a new memoir out that we're about to talk about. He's also my brother. Queens is in the building. I think that his brother, his big brother Vincent, is one of the great, great coaches. The only blemish on his illustrious career as a coach, as a trader, is the fact that he coached me, because that didn't work out too great. I'm talking about the one and only Kenny, the Jet Smith. What's going on, big time? How are you, man? What's going on, man?
So that's about a year ago. I believe that may have been in May of 23, where Kenny Smith's his brother. And then in that one, Kenny Smith's older brother wasn't responsible for Stephen A. getting a scholarship. Stephen A. was actually a failure. It's the only failure on the blemish on the guy's record. But how many different times is Stephen A. Smith? Shannon Sharp's like a brother to me. Michael Irvin's like a brother to me. Deion Sanders like a brother to me. He's my brother. We've known each other for decades. We're all brothers. Cut it out. Stephen A. Smith's brother passed away in a car accident when Stephen A. was maybe in his 20s, I think. And so I want to be careful, but I just want to be honest. It's just like, because I have a brother, and I have a very strong relationship with my brother, you're not going to hear me calling random people in the media that I work with and casually know my brother. It's just not going to happen. Now, are there some guys that I grew up with? Willie Clark, some guys that, I played college football with, Todd Fennell, Ralph Wise, Tim Walton, that, they like brothers to me. Yes. Those are people I have real connections to. These people that are on TV that I know in a press box and maybe had dinner with them at a few events, they're not brothers to me. And again, I don't want to embarrass or get in trouble the people in the media that I'm very friendly with, because I don't want them to catch the heat for just being friends with me. But love them to death, but they're not like brothers to me. See, there's an alliance among these television elites that supersedes everything. I don't know if they're all Freemasons. I don't know if they're all Boule. I don't know. But they're all in on a lie, and there's a brotherhood amongst them of protecting the bag for each other. And we're all in on this together. And it's a criminal conspiracy in many regards. We're going to keep lying and protect each other that are lying so that we can continue to make millions of dollars and mislead the public. And so when they need us to run out on camera and say, take the vaccine, or if some athlete decides, hey, you know what? I want you to watch this Hebrews to Negroes documentary. If someone pulls the string and says, hey, a couple of our Jewish brothers would love for you to run out here and call Kyrie anti-Semitic, they'll do it on command. I won't. Kyrie Irving can watch whatever documentary he wants to watch. It's America. Someone like me that used to go to Savior's Day with Louis Farrakhan, you think I'm going to rip Kyrie Irving because he likes some movie poster? It's not going to happen. And go ahead and misconstrue that comment all you want. But it's just not going to happen. People get to make mistakes. People get to believe whatever they want to believe. If some Hebrew Israelites want to believe what they believe, I don't have to agree with it, but I'm not going to sit here and castigate them and say they're the worst people on the planet. Because there are people that don't believe, and they authentically do not believe, that Jesus Christ is their Lord and Savior. I happen to believe Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. But I'm not going to shred the people that don't. I'm going to let God deal with it. So that's what I wanted to get off my chest about Stephen A. Smith today. Since 2007, Folds of Honor has provided life-changing scholarships to the spouses and children of America's fallen or disabled in combat. And in 2023, this was extended to include the families of fallen first responders. They've awarded 51,000 scholarships and more than $200 million so far. And the need is still great, but together, we can make sure no qualified applicant is turned away. Flying Ace has aligned with Folds of Honor to ensure the children of our American heroes receive the education they deserve. As proud supporters of Folds of Honor, Flying Ace has had the privilege of providing hope for the families of those who protect our freedom. To that end, Flying Ace is proudly sponsoring 4 scholarships awarded quarterly this year. Please, if you can, donate today and help them make a great impact. Go to flyingacespirits.com or scan the QR code on the screen. The link is also in the show's notes. When you purchase a bottle of Flying Ace, you will also be donating to Folds of Honor. Make sure you use promo code Whitlock and get free shipping on every order. That's flyingacespirits.com, promo code Whitlock. All right, well, TJ, Joe Biden has some Juneteenth plans. And I can't remember, is Juneteenth, is it the 19th or is it the 10th?
19th.
It's the 19th. I'm sorry. I just lost my cookout card. But so I think he's planning some party, though, on June 10th.
Okay.
And he's got all these musical guests for Juneteenth. It's a who's who of people that used to be really, really important. Patti LaBelle, love her. I saw her in concert 25 years ago. She was awesome. Gladys Knight, loved her as a kid. I didn't even know, is she coming out of a nursing home to do this? I don't know. Charlie Wilson, some of the greatest music ever from the 70s and 80s. I do like Kirk Franklin. Anthony Hamilton, I had to look up who Anthony Hamilton is. Brittany Spencer, not sure who she is. Trombone Shorty. Trombone Shorty's going to be playing. Raheem Devon. I definitely remember Dougie Fresh. Oh my God. Or, I can't remember. Dougie Fresh. Anyway, good rapper back in the day, back in the 80s. Patina Miller, and one of my favorite comedians, actually, Roy Wood Jr. He's a funny guy. I don't want to out Roy, but he's not really a leftist. Not really. But I'm going to leave it at that. But
that's
anyway,
always funny.
Yeah. He's been on the Daily Show with all the leftists. But anyway, I when I saw this list, and I was like, we have a national holiday, Juneteenth, where you don't need diversity, inclusion, you don't need no equity. You just black people invited to the White House, all black celebrities, Juneteenth. This is a national holiday for everybody. It's supposed to be a celebration for everybody. It would almost be like Thanksgiving, and the White House only invited white people to the Thanksgiving celebration. That would be called out. But you can have Juneteenth, and it's only for black celebrities. And again, it all connects. I'm going to repeat again. This isn't trying to elevate the importance of this show. It's trying to get you in the loop to what they're doing. Everything is tied to race. Mm-hmm. Everything is about black superiority, the importance of black people, the celebration. It's why I call it idolatry. And I know for black people, for many, it feels good. Idolatry always pleasures, always, but it also always destroys. And it's fooling you into buying off and signing off on things that destroy you. The reason why you're pro-abortion is because of idolatry. I find this amazing, but not surprising, because my entire argument, everything we talk about here, is we have to look past our skin color and get a biblical worldview and put our idolatry, our racial idolatry, these skin color differences to the side. That's why I've partnered with John Rich on Roll Call. That's what we're doing this weekend. That's why I've invited my friends. John Rich has invited his friends. Fearless Army, rollcall.com. You can still come, particularly those of you right here in Nashville. Fearless Army, rollcall.com. Use my promo code Fearless. But TJ, what are your Juneteenth plans? What are you and your family doing for Juneteenth?
I wasn't invited to the White House, believe it or not. Biden will be the only white guy there. Probably handing out some Medal of Freedoms to whoever will take it. I do. You mentioned the idea you don't actually need diversity here. Juneteenth, in their views, is not a diverse holiday, of course, because they don't give white people any credit for fighting in the Civil War.
You all didn't? You didn't?
I've heard there were some white people that died in the Civil War, maybe to the tune of about 600,000. And so there's only about 40,000 black soldiers in the Civil War. The vast majority of all the deaths were white people. And so...
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Come to find out.
White people, and I heard a rumor that they used to sing the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and it actually talked about sacrificing their lives so that others could live free. Mm. So these racist white people in America died so that black people could live free, and they actually sung songs on the battlefield about that. Am I accurate with that information?
Yes, and all of that still does not get you invited to the White House or any of your ancestors.
And I'm telling you, I think I heard it on this show yesterday. Someone mentioned that black people in the 1800s started Memorial Day to celebrate and thank the soldiers that died during the Civil War, who mostly were white people. This is... And I could see why. I mean, when black people come up with a holiday like Memorial Day that becomes so popular that it becomes a national holiday, I could see why you would need Juneteenth. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because black people hadn't come up with a holiday that celebrated the Civil War and freedom. You actually needed Juneteenth to celebrate that.
You know, on one hand, we are saying all the old things that were just black are not good enough, like the Negro League. And so those black things are not good enough. On the other hand, we're trying to create as many all black spaces as we can to get the white people out of it. So we're a bit confused. We're not sure if we want the white people there or not.
Well, I do know where black people are very comfortable, or leftist black people are very comfortable with white people. And that's in gated communities and neighborhoods that they all fantasize about moving to.
In their bedroom, oftentimes.
Oftentimes in their bedroom. I can actually attest to that.
You're not a leftist.
But, I guess maybe this is where the whole love the fruit but hate the tree. Well, no, actually, they don't like the tree. The tree died for the freedom of black people, and the fruit, mostly white women, I guess. I
can't figure it out.
So Juneteenth. Anyway, it's blazing hot in this studio.
You're starting to sweat. I see
Yeah,
it.
I'm sorry. It's over 80 degrees. Yesterday it was 81 degrees in the studio. I don't know what Tiffany or Luke's been on vacation. Maybe he didn't pay the air conditioning bill.
I'll take it out of his check.
Take it. Yeah, we are. So I'm so hot that we're going to end the show, and we'll continue to pray that somebody with common sense keeps Trump out of prison on these trumped-up charges. We'll play tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow for Roll Call 2.0, our VIP event. We'll start doing that tomorrow.
Striking like a ladder, making all this moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be, I wanna be, I wanna be, I